Hey guys, welcome back to Vertical Momentum.
What's
We
up?
are live.
Woo!
My name is Richard Kaufman, also known as the Comeback Coach. Guys, this is going to be a great episode. If you ever wanted to get into the mind of a mixed martial artist and to find out, is it madness or is it brilliance? We're going to let you be the deciding factor. But guys, I want to thank our sponsors, Kurt Balish of Balish Woodworks. Thank you for making the most amazing woodworking stuff for your people's homes. The Hoarding Solution, Tammy Moses, I want to say thank you for helping anybody that's living in a hoarding situation, because a lot of first responders get killed by trying to get those people out of hoarding situations. So thank you. But I also want to thank me. We just came out with our own ass-kicking coffee, high-velocity coffee. Whether you need your ass kicked or you need to kick somebody's ass.
I don't even drink coffee, and that already sounds good off of the title.
Yep. It's called Vertical Momentum. You can get it here, and all my proceeds go to help veterans that are struggling with mental health issues and homelessness. So it's all giving back, guys. Guys, like I said, this is going to be a fun interview. I've been a fan of MMA since before UFC 1, which is like 35 years ago. And I love it, and I love talking to fighters. I love getting their mindsets. And this gentleman is an up-and-comer, and I see him as a future world champion one day in the UFC. Jordan, my brother.
That's right.
What's going on?
What's going on? Getting it in every day, working up to the top, climbing the ladder. So that's the game that I'm playing. That's what I love, and pursuing my goals.
So, all right, we're going to hop back in the Wayback Machine. Where did you come from? Where did you grow up? And what kind of little kid was Jordan?
So I grew up in Marrero, Louisiana. It's actually the West Bank of New Orleans, if you're familiar with that area. And I was born there to about when I was like 4 years old. We moved to Baton Rouge. And so growing up, I was a very happy kid. I was very, curious about everything, life, just full of energy, joy. And, I immediately got into martial arts. It's funny, right when we moved to Baton Rouge from New Orleans area, my mom asked me, she's like, hey, do you want to start karate? I was like, yeah, like it instantly indicated. Like, so I knew, like, I look back at it now and I'm like, I definitely pulled that in the universe. I know, I believe in that type of stuff. Like, everything happens because of you in some way, shape, or form. Like even the most defying odds, like things that seem so out of your control, they happen to be in your control some way or another. And that, I believe 100% was in my control. And I knew what I was doing at that young age. At 4 or 5 years old, I was like, I'm going to be a martial artist.
So now, what form of martial art did you start taking up?
I started with, it's called Han-Mudo. It's a Korean martial art, and it's kind of like a mixture of Taekwondo, Hapkido, and Judo. So I started doing that. That was like a good base for me till I was about like 15. So that was a good. I trained. I competed a lot in tournaments. They had little local tournaments, and it was a huge deal for me. Like every tournament, even it could be like the most, not a big deal to some people, but it's like I treated like every competition like it was a UFC. Like I would think of a UFC championship. That was the beauty of it. Like I created that in my mind, and that's what helped me win. I won 7 years in a row growing up. In the sparring and in the tournaments, and because I treated it like it is the most prestigious, it is amazing, I'm going to win, and that was my mindset at that young age.
So now, I used to do sparring and used to fight for points, and I would get hit and I would lose my temper, and I would get disqualified all the time. I don't know why, but somebody hit me in the face and I just seen black and that was it. So talk about the discipline that it instilled in you from a young child till now. Do you recommend it for kids nowadays?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, it's another game. It's like, life is full of games. And it's like, what game do you want to play? You know, you can be a fucking race car driver. You could be a freaking ballerina dancer. You can be a astronaut. You can be a martial artist. It's like, what game you want to play? You got all these options available to you in this world. And it's just which one is good for you. And really, it's whatever the kid wants. And, you know, only the child or the being knows what game he wants to play. And the choices are unlimited. So I think any game is better than no game. That's the first thing. You know, not having a game makes you dead. So I think what's key and most important in life in general is to have a game. If you don't have a game, then you're just dead inside.
All right. So then, you know, talking about games, because I'm a big sports geek, sports freak.
And I don't see, when I talk about games, I don't just talk about like sports and stuff.
Yeah.
I mean like everything. Like be a construction worker, that's a game. Being an investor, that's a game. Being a podcaster like yourself, you're playing a game. You know, you have a game. So that's what I mean, just to clarify.
Yeah. Well, what I was trying to say is that, you know, like for podcasting, I model myself off of Mr. John Lee Dumas, Ed Milet. So who was somebody that you started looking up to, that you started liking their game and you started modeling yourself after?
You're talking in terms of podcasting or martial arts? Okay.
Martial arts.
Martial arts, the biggest number one person that stood out to me the most is Bruce Lee at a young age. And also he's very underrated guy. His name is Tony Jaa. I don't know if you're familiar with Tony Jaa. Man, I fell in love with his movies. I think the first movie I saw, it might have been The Protector or the Warrior. And that thing was like 2003, 2004. And it's crazy how much those movies impacted me, because I literally like used those techniques that I learned. And his timing, if you notice, like he doesn't use very flashy techniques, but he uses this unbelievable timing in his shots. Like just to be able to place that roundhouse kick, you know, and close the gap so quickly before the opponent can even strike. And those were the things that taught me. I mean, it's crazy. It's a movie, but yet that movie helped me become a better martial artist. And I used it, you know, when I was young in a tournament. And so that was my biggest inspiration. You know, I didn't do Muay Thai, but I love Tony Jaa. And then it became Bruce Lee. I discovered Bruce Lee. And then when I was in my early teens, I read his book, Expressing the Human Body. And then now I have all of his books, and I consistently turn back to and trying to really study a lot of this stuff, because I think a lot of that stuff is underrated, even in mixed martial arts, and even a lot of the fighters. There's just so much in there that he was such ahead of his time, and obviously the sport is catching up to that times. So you know, it's great. So those were my biggest inspirations, but. Definitely another inspiration I had. I'm not, you know, like most people, Conor McGregor definitely was a big inspiration. If anything, he was more of the inspiration of me, inspiring me to go for it. You know, before I kind of got distracted. Like I took like 7 years out of martial arts, and I started pursuing other things. And so watching him, you know, and his climb to the top literally inspired me to show like what's possible and what's, you know, because when I was 17, 18, I wanted to be champion. And then I strayed off of it because, you know, I listened to other people's negativity. I let, you know, friends and family talk me out of it. Like, oh, it's dangerous. You're going to get hurt. You're going to do this. And I believed in it at that time. And then it wasn't until 6, 7 years later that I realized that I'm capable of anything, and I can literally achieve anything that I put my mind to. And there's so much proof in the pudding. There's so much out there. So, you know, people that you would have never thought that could achieve anything, and they went and achieved great things. So
now one thing, you know, I'm also a big fan of professional wrestling. So I always love the guys on the mic. Now, like, you know, I've always been a fan of McGregor, because he's golden on the mic. Tito Ortiz, golden on the mic. I love those guys that bring the excitement. And I used to, and I still watch UFC. I still watch MMA, but it's hard when you just watch an awesome fight and then they interview the guy, and he's has no personality or can't even
Yeah.
speak the language. And
Or,
you're
it's kind of like fake. It's like you can smell it a mile away. You know, I can name a couple off the top of my head of what I'm thinking right now. Uh, you know, that just made me, it's like, what are you doing? Like, it just doesn't feel right. You know, you could just feel it, the energy, you know,
I mean,
whatever.
you know,
I
and
don't
there's
know.
guys like Chael Sonnen, even though he's got a bunch of losses, he puts asses in seats because
Yeah.
he's golden on the mic. And I think that's one thing that drew me to you is you're very open, you're amazing on the mic. Was that something that
Yeah.
came naturally?
Well, I appreciate it. I mean, I guess I never really think about it, to be honest. And, you know, I don't think I have had too much mic time as I feel like I should, you know, but obviously that's going to change real soon. And, you know, I'll get a chance to show everybody, you know, how I am on the mic, or, you know, in the spotlight. But, you know, I guess I definitely think that competing in competition at an early age has helped me with that. And if you look at my last fight, you know, the commentators were telling me, like, saying, like, oh, well, wow, look at Jordan. He's so relaxed. He's so composed. You know, they said it like multiple times during my fight. And, you know, I wouldn't say I was, I mean, I was composed, but yeah, the first fight that I had, last fight, it was definitely tremendous experience mentally, crazy. You know, I went into some God mode, some, you know, a place that I haven't really been. Not only like pushing yourself, because, you know, I push myself in training and all that, but it's just a different uh, thing, just different. You know, it's hard to explain.
Yeah, you
I
know,
guess the adrenaline is what thing, you know, at such a high level, I guess, what kind of spikes everything and changes things. Because I can get a big adrenaline. So during that fight, I was composed per se, but my adrenaline was just crazy. So I guess I put a good poker face, kind of, that, like, you know, I look composed, but my heart was like 1,000 beats per minute. You know, whatever.
now, like, you know, on this show, I've interviewed Navy SEAL commanders. I've dealt the
Yeah,
Fort Raiders, and they have the same
that same.
kind of
Yeah,
mindset as a mixed martial artist. Is when the shit is going down, everything slows down for them,
yeah.
and they can focus more. The worse it is, the more focused they are. So, talk to us about the minute before you get into the octagon, when you're about to step in. What is your mindset like? What are your thoughts?
My thoughts, I kind of just, like, not think about anything. Just, I'm just there in present time. Especially with this last fight. You know, I warmed up a bit. I actually warmed up too early, and that pretty much, I did everything wrong this last fight, to be honest with you. I warmed up like 4 hours before, like a pretty. I thought it was a light workout, but I felt after, especially after the weight cut, like, oh shit, I actually did too much. And obviously it wasn't close to the fight, so I didn't benefit from that. So it was just like an extra workout that I did before the fight, basically. And yeah, I just really, I don't think about anything. I just go in there and just be present, and and know that I'm gonna get it done, and
Now,
I'm gonna
now your
prevail.
opponent didn't make weight, did he?
No, he missed weight by, I mean, he missed weight by 6 pounds, but I made 168. Um, you know, to make sure I made weight, because they emphasize, if you miss weight, you know, the fight's off. And this motherfucker comes in at 160, 176. I was 168. So that basically, that's 8 pounds uh, difference. And
So now, how come they didn't call off the fight if he came in overweight?
that's the bullshit, you know, that I ran into with that fight. So, but it was still good, you know, I got it done. So I don't have anything bad to say, but yeah, like, you know, I guess that I'm learning as I go, you know, there's some shady shit going on, and definitely that fight was definitely not in my favor, and it definitely was not created for me to win that fight, but I still won it because
Now,
that's the champion mindset. But
how long before you took this fight did you know who your opponent was, and did you do a lot of studying before the fight?
no, I didn't have any information. The dude put his profile in private. The manager like wouldn't. And the guy told me he wasn't a wrestler. Like specifically, he's just a wrestler. He'll strike with you, and obviously, I'm better at striking than this guy, and that's all I knew. And then, come to think of it, the fight, I mean, he was a wrestler. All he did was wrestle me. So that right there was just complete bullshit, and I definitely was not anticipating, but I still adapted in the situation and overcame. So yeah, you're gonna run
So
into these
now,
things.
obviously, being a wrestler, I'm sure he went for takedowns. I'm sure he went for the legs. So I'm sure after the first 30 seconds, you're like, all right, that's all he's going to do. So how did you work
Yeah,
around? I think the biggest thing is in life or in business or in the ring, you have to pivot sometimes. So what
yeah.
was your mindset? Was like, all right, this guy's just going to keep going for my legs. I got to do something different.
Well, so I'm in the first couple of seconds of the fight. I immediately started off with a front kick. He like just drove through my front kick and put me up against the cage and for a takedown. And immediately, I've been training. I just immediately try to start escaping and getting back up on my feet, which I did. He was immediately in the fight. He started exerting a lot of energy, and that was my opportunity that I knew that I can win is, I'm really good at pacing. I'm really good at at knowing my endurance and my energy capacity and knowing like when to put it on and when to let off the gas. So I kind of let him, I didn't get all aggressive when he had me and try to like force out of it. I just kind of waited it out, He hit me with some good shots when I tried to stand up. And that was the point where I was like, oh shit, I'm in a fight now. Like before, it's different. You get hit with a couple of times and you're like, oh, okay. He's trying to hurt me. And then it kind of wakes you up a little bit more, puts a little bit more necessity. And yeah, and then the fight continued.
So now, as you said earlier, there's an 8-pound difference. And for some
Mhm.
people, they might think that 8 pounds is not a lot. But when you're carrying an extra 6 or 8 pounds of either water or muscle, it's going to weigh you down and your cardio is going to be much worse. So did that play a big part? It was him, being over 8 pounds?
Yeah, I'm sure his cardio was at a better advantage than I was because I had to cut that extra, 6 pounds that or 8 pounds that he didn't lose that I lost was a disadvantage for me because I'm more, fatigued than he was. And, so he had the advantage right there. He didn't have to drop as much weight. He's feeling good. But yeah, he's carrying a little bit more weight, but it is an advantage also, he's carrying that weight that he can put me down on my butt with those takedowns and be able to hold me there and but yeah,
So how
it's
did you win
definitely
that
a
fight?
disadvantage.
How did you win it?
I won it by rear naked choke in the third round. I took his back after he took my back twice. He took my back twice. Obviously that's just a huge no. You don't fucking do that. And I made that mistake. I let him take my back twice and I escaped out of it. And then I did the same thing to him. So it worked out. It was a good karma situation, I guess.
So now after you choked him out, were you expecting to maybe get signed for a couple more PFL fights?
Well, the PFL they put on multiple it's the Premier Fight League, so it's different than the Pro
Yeah.
PFL. So I mean, they're gonna have another one in January. That's the one I was like looking at. So that's a possibility, but we'll see. I'm really liking the gym I'm at now. Glory MMA. Shout out to James Krause. He's got an amazing team over here. We got like 17 guys in the UFC. So there's plenty of training partners and so much knowledge around there and help me get better. So, I'm excited to be around in that environment. And yeah, so I'm hearing they're gonna have one in February, so I think I'm shooting for that.
Man, you're around the Kansas City area?
Yes, sir.
All right,
Right
so
in
now
that
talk
area.
to us about because I believe that if you want to be successful in life, and I've been told by a couple of my friends that are Navy SEALs that it's all about your rituals, your nightly ritual, your morning ritual, and
Yeah.
that pretty much puts the rest of your day in perspective. So, what is a day and night in the life of Jordan?
So the day, I do all my prescribed workouts, which has been changing a little bit because I'm trying to increase volume with my training, and I'm kind of trying different things. I got a performance coach in Miami, so he's been programming all my strength and conditioning stuff, helping me move better. His name's Lalo. Shout out to Lalo with Blaze Camp. He's been helping me out, helping me because I've had some hip injuries. I've had a lot of different injuries and stuff, and uh, the way he helps me move my body helps me perform better. I can throw punches better. I can kick better without, injuring the hip and stuff. But yeah, doing that, and then showing up to each of the pro team classes that we have every morning with James Krause and all the guys at Glory. They have a very consistent schedule. So I wake up 10 a.m. is when we do that session. And then if I'm not don't have a staph infection, that's the first session. Then they have an evening session at around 5, and then now I've been adding another session midday, strength, or like today right now I'm gonna go do some shadow boxing rounds or and some kicking. So been doing that, and yeah, just trying to increase everything. Like everything's a statistic. I log everything. I keep a daily like journal, a training journal of how many rounds did I do of this, how many reps did I do of this. I write everything down, and then write down how I did, like how did I do with this sparring session. Oh, I got hit here. I need to work on my defense. I'm getting hit too much, or I keep getting taken down. I need to work on my defense, my takedown defense. So I do it like that. I'm very organized with my training. I like to see where I'm at, and like how many sessions did I do this week, and I keep track of that. I have a whole graph that I write on Sunday, and I keep track of how many martial arts sessions, how many strength sessions, how many conditioning sessions, how many how much distance did I run throughout the week, and that way I can have more control over my training and my growth, as I climb the ladder. So I want to be on top of that. I want to be better than everybody else. I want to outwork everybody. So all of these are goals of mine, and I'm trying to do it. I'm trying to work extremely hard and work extremely smart at the same time. I don't believe people should just work smart and not hard. Like you need both. So that's what I've got my agenda.
Now, how do you pay the bills? Is this what you do full time? Is this how you make a living?
No, dude, I've been broke, man. I've been broke. I get help from family. I DoorDash sometimes. Honestly, like I've done a lot of sales, but it's just like, fuck, it's hard getting myself to do, uh, you know, I have to rethink myself of like, okay, this is, even though it's not my purpose, it's in line with what I'm trying to do. Um, so that's kind of how I've been working it. If it was up to me, I slept outside for a whole month, uh, until my mom was like, "No, I'm going to help you get a place." So because I'm staying here because of my mom right now. If it was up to me, I'd be camping outside, which I was sleeping out of a tent, and cooking on a little propane stove, because I just want to put all my energy and thought and attention into my main goal. If I have to sacrifice the next year and a half, 2 years until I start making money, at a professional level and being in the UFC, then so be it. It's part of the game. I'm okay with that because I know where I'm going and I know what I want and I know I'm going to get what I want. I'm
So
going to be
where do you
world
see
champion.
yourself in 2022?
2022, I'm going to be a professional MMA fighter, fighting at the pro level. 2023, I'll be in the UFC.
Okay. Now I have, a lot of people that are watching this, they're veterans. They kind of got out of shape and now they want to look to get back in shape. What are some of the things that you would recommend for a person, and any person, from 25 to 55 that are trying to get back in shape, but they don't know how? What are some basics that you can teach us so we can help start getting back into shape, not in fighting, but just to get healthier again?
I think you kind of have to, I think, have a purpose line first. I could be like, yeah, fucking go get it. Don't be a little bitch, quit being lazy. But I think what makes it easier, more efficient. So because you gotta want to do it, otherwise your intensity, your heart, it's not going to be there. So I think the number one most basic thing is to have a purpose of like, okay, why do I need to start working out? Oh, well, I'd like to be able to move better. I'd like to feel better. I don't feel good. Well, yeah, you probably don't feel good because you're not training and you're not exercising properly and eating healthy and stuff like that. So you just gotta rewire the purpose. Like, okay, this is the purpose line. I want to feel good. I want to be able to move. I want to live a better life. I want to look better. All these things are different purposes. Everybody's different. So you just got to find your purpose and figure out like, why do you need to exercise? Obviously you need to exercise, but the man's got to find out why he needs to exercise. Otherwise it'll be hard for him to stick to it.
All right. So the last couple minutes, because when this goes out live now, and then in about 6 to 8 weeks, it goes out again to 10 different platforms, up to 1.4 million people. But I'm also going to be tagging the UFC, some of these other
Let's
big
go.
organizations.
Let's go.
So
They're
I want
watching
you.
me. I got them on LinkedIn too. I got them on LinkedIn.
So
I
I
got the
want you to
president.
give.
I got the vice president.
I
They
want you
know
to
I'm
give
coming. They're watching me.
the best promo of why they should bring you into the UFC or some of these other main event cards.
Well, I'm getting to that level. Right now I'm an amateur, but I'm moving very fast, and I know all eyes are on me. And I have no doubt that they're going to bring me in on the company. I mean, it's without a question, because my goal, I'm going to be the best in the world. So obviously, the best fighters in the world, you want to be the best in the world, you got to fight at the UFC caliber, because UFC is the number one skill and caliber of mixed martial artists. So that's where I'm going, and without a doubt, they'll see me. So, you know, I'm working my way. I'm doing what I need to do to get there, and I got a huge team around me. A ton of guys are in the UFC around me every day, so I'm already training with those guys. I'm already around those guys. I'm learning, and I know what it takes, and I see to myself, where they're at, compared to me, and okay, how much better do I need to be better than them, and how good is being in the UFC, and okay, this person is ranked such and such in the UFC. Okay, maybe I can beat them in this and this. Okay, so I'm always thinking with these type of things, and I'm seeing what it actually takes effort wise. Because with any goal, you have to correctly estimate the amount of effort necessary. And that's without a doubt what I'm doing, because that is my goal, and that's what I'm going to go for and make. So I'm already looking at all these things on what I need to do to get there. So
Dana, if you're watching this,
Dana,
make sure you pick
let's
this
go.
man up. Make sure you get him now.
He's picking me up.
Hot.
He's picking me up.
He's going to get hot.
I'm hot and ready. We'll see.
All right, guys, brother, thank you so much. I can't wait. I can't wait to see the great things that you're going to be doing in the future. And
thank you.
I'm going to support you any way that I can, brother. Guys, make sure that you follow this young man's career. Just think you can become friends with this gentleman. Imagine if you, back in the day when John Bones Jones first came out, if you were able to sit and talk with this gentleman and become friends with him. That's where this guy is going. That's the level this guy is going to. So make
You
sure
already
you reach
know.
out, connect while you still can, because I'm sure he's going to be maxed out real soon.
That's right, Richard. You're a smart man. You
All
already
right, brother,
know.
be good.
Taking the words out of my mouth.
And remember, guys, vertical momentum, the only way to go is but up. Love you guys. Catch you on the flip.
Thanks, Richard.
Be good,
Appreciate
brother.
it. Thanks for having me. All right. Talk soon.